It is more or less easy to categorize mindless beasts, but not Sylvans. They carry the elder blood like elves. Relict of past, they're as smart as other sentient beings like elves and humans, but admittedly not as sophisticated, as there is no mention of them building societies or cities. You never come across Sylvan runes, unlike elves for example. It is possible though that they lived with elves at some point, as they both carry the same blood, or they could just live in wilderness, as they do now. Their appearance, in short, resembles a mixture of goat and human. They have hooves and horns, which leads peasants to mistake them for devil. Although they are mischievous creatures, they are far from evil, yet because they're sapient, they can choose to do evil. But in general, they are more of a prankster than evil. Sylvans are typically cheerful beings who delight in playful pranks and solving enigmas. They have a fondness for melodies and are skilled at playing instruments like reed pipes. Beyond their mischievous antics, they play a beneficial role in agriculture by enriching soil, deterring avian pests, willingly tending to root vegetables, and consuming harmful insects. Sylvan was introduced in the Age of the World short story in the Last Wish book. This Sylvan was called Tolk. It had a rather complicated relationship with the villagers. Although it took some of their harvest, but as Sylvans, because of their traits like taking care of the harvest, killing pests, and so on, are good for the fields, the villagers could stand him, until finally a group of them hired Geralt to chase the Sylvan away, or according to the villagers, the devil. Anyways, later it became clear that the Sylvan was working with elves. No surprise there. Long story short, elves capture Geralt and intend to execute him, and that's where the Sylvan defends Geralt. And that's the interesting part of this story. He never wanted anyone to die, and his act shows that behind mischief and tricks, Sylvan is a good-natured creature. At least this one in the books is, as it only gets worse in the games. As far as I remember, we encounter two Sylvans in the game. The first one is called Olgod, and he's an insensitive, manipulative being who takes advantage of naive peasants. But whether he deserves to die or not is hard call. He basically is a Sylvan who lives in a concealed basement and talks to villagers in Velen without of course showing himself. They believe him to be a god and bring him offerings until Nilfgaard attacks and they become poor and struggle. Yet the so-called all-god insensitively asks them to bring more, or he'll curse them. Poor peasants, afraid, had to cut off the little ration they had to offer for this greedy Sylvan. Regardless of what you decide to do with him, All-God paints a bad picture for Sylvans, leaning towards merciless cruelty. The other Sylvan that we encounter is Fugus, a big, strong Sylvan in service of none other than Ladies of the Wood, killing those who carry the Defier's Oren. Very unlike Toke, who was a peaceful Sylvan, Fugus kills without a second thought. So, like humans, you can find Sylvans with very different characteristics. That being said, there's a huge difference between Sylvan depiction in the books and the games. Aside from game Sylvans being more violent and aggressive, there is also a physical difference. Game Sylvans are very chubby and fat, whereas Torque was thin. Sylvans are deeply connected to harvest and fields. Although I couldn't find their mythology roots, the best I came up with was an Oxford reference. It said that, in classical mythology, an imaginary being believed to haunt woods or groves, the spirit of the woods. If you know where exactly Sylvan originates from, please let me know in the comments. And with that said, let's hear its bestiary.
Sylvans are cruel, greedy and treacherous. Still, I prefer them to Dioin. Yavin, legendary Skoya tail commander, Sylvans and Yakshas, a kindred species, are extremely rare woodland creatures whose appearance combines traits of goats and rotund men. These beings usually pose little danger, for they limit their contact with humans to playing harmless though often bothersome tricks and eating crops from their fields. Sylvans and Yakshas resemble men not just in appearance, but also in behaviour, though it must be said they have adopted more of our vices and weaknesses than strengths. Lazy by nature, they would gladly spend every day in idleness, puffing on pipes, gorging on rich foods and downing strong drinks. Since Sylvans and Yakshas enjoy partaking of the fruits of others' labours without asking permission, men do not take to them kindly and at times, fooled by their awkward appearance, will try to solve this problem using force. This often ends in tragedy, for Sylvans, despite their corpulent frames, are astonishingly strong and agile. They also emit a powerful and extremely unpleasant scent which can cause even a witcher, whose line of work accustoms him to foul stenches, to gag and feel faint. Watch out in particular for Yakshas, which are fiercer and keener on fighting than normal Sylvan. Combat tactics. Melee combat against a Sylvan is difficult, even for a witcher. One has to evade the physical strikes from a Sylvan, not attempt to parry or counterattack. Yrden can gain time to bring a silver sword into play, but a Sylvan can counter this by breathing intense flames that melt through the best armour. If close quarters combat isn't going well, one should be prepared to make use of long-ranged options. A crossbow loaded with good bolts can keep the witcher relatively safe, whilst being effective.
And with that, this video comes to an end. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please leave a like and subscribe, as that would greatly help this channel. Have a good day and goodbye.